one and all, welcome back. Thank you for everyone that participated in the show so far, and everyone that took part in the show, the advert break. We got a lot of information, but let me introduce the show properly first, just in case you're just tuning in. Welcome back. It's the Doctor's Surgery. We do each and every Tuesday from 8, or when we get here a little bit after 8, until 11. It's Britain's first Black current affairs show where we have a serious discussion about anything that's been addressed in the media nationally or internationally over the past 7 days, or on social media, things that have been trending on social media, things of pertinence to us as a people that impact on us. Because there's so much that's said in the media these days that no one is setting the record straight, no one's correcting it. So everyone in the media that normally don't look like us run roughshod with things that pertains to us without any form of consequence. No, we're setting the record straight. Whenever something is said that's not quite said correctly, we'll correct it here on the Doctor's Surgery, and we'll lend clarity to this issue so that you, the listening audience, can be all supportive of each other, and we can correct these things from taking place moving forward in the future. We can become a strong voice together. It's not about my voice, it's about our voice. And this is why it's so important for you all to take part in the show. It's important for you to call in and say your piece. As you know, I don't rush anyone on the phone unless it's coming up to the news and advert break. I allow you to say your piece, and so we can have that dialogue. It's not about being wrong or right, it's about lending clarity. So we can have good dialogue. Even if I say something that offends you, please don't take it as an offense, because we are dealing with very delicate subjects that it needs to be discussed, and sometimes we might say it in the wrong way. We have to learn how to find the better words, but we are all individuals, and it's so difficult to speak to the individual mindset, because we it's so easy to offend someone but not offend someone else of the same persuasion, or so it's a delicate matter. So if something is said that offends, call in so that we can help to sharpen the tools in moving forward, so we move forward as one, together, as one family. So if you want to call in the Doctor's Surgery and take part, remember we're on YouTube. You can watch live on the Doctor's Surgery. So just type in the Doctor's Surgery on YouTube and refine or filter by channels, and we are right at the top. You can subscribe, or you can listen on Omega 104.1 or omegafmradio.co.uk on the TuneIn Radio app, or on mixcloud.com/Omega DJ. And I think Omega London TV Presents is also another YouTube channel, but I'm not sure if that's up and running in terms of whether you can see us live in the studio. You can definitely have a go at that one if you're already linked in. If you want to take part in the show, the number is 0753 9968143. I'll give it again, 0753 9968143. One last time for the money, 0753 9968143. I want to say this before I move on. There's a few things that I didn't cover that I should have covered this morning. Um, but I'll come back to that. Let's deal with the text messages first and the polls that we had during the advert break. So the first person texted in. Let's see. Let's start from the top to say six CEYX is a deity that is associated with Lucifer. Okay, so that's coming in from 749, lending a bit of clarity. That's really appreciated. 749, that little bit more clarity. Um, so it's good to get that little bit more information on that. Like I said, I would definitely look up CEYX or six. Text message reads, Please expatiate, expand, you mean, on your preference of Trump over Biden. I just don't like Trump. He is obviously a divisive instrument. America is bleeding right now, and she needs someone to sincerely tackle the serious problems of racial divide, not exacerbate it. Big up Omega Radio, brother Nas. Brother Nas, what can I say? They say better the devil you know, right? And so far we've had 4 years of Trump, and in those 4 years he hasn't done anything that I can construe as being anti anything. His comments, however, not his policies, his comments. Yes, people can say they've been divisive, but what you see in his comments is people having the rights and freedoms to be what the Constitution has set out for them to be, which is the fundamentals of America. The reason why I can go on about Trump, but let's face it, he's made a lot of faux pas in the past. That makes it a bit hard because the media focuses on his errors and his discrepancies. And I don't want to essentially go on and on about it as if like he's he's a savior to America. I just think he's one of the better presidents in terms of his honesty and is following through rhetoric in terms of if he says he wants to do A and he gets the opportunity to do A, he does A. Whereas a lot of politicians, they say they want to do A, B, C, D, and when they get there, they do nothing, right? Now, the reason why I don't like Joe Biden is his history. Joe Biden is the reason why you're seeing such great divide in America right now, based on past policies that are now maturing. So the very thing that he's talking against are the very things that his policies have now borne fruit. You know, it's very policies that he supported with the Clinton administration from in the 90s that are now the key and detracting factors taking place in America. I mean, if it was someone else apart from Joe Biden, someone that is a bit better credibility, even if it was Michelle Obama, then you know, I wouldn't be here saying Trump. I'd be saying, all right, give Michelle a chance. You get what I'm saying? But at the moment, of the two, I would still say Trump. And in the last election of those two, whether it was Hillary or Trump, there was no doubt it would have to be Trump then. You know, Hillary would have been the worst thing to have happened to this planet if it was her. You know, and that's my thinking. So you choose the better of the two. You weigh it up. So the Democrats, if they want me to say the other side, they have to come with someone better. The problem is that the rhetoric that he spews causes problems on the streets in America, which is granted, but the rhetoric is not something that is wrong. It's just the media twists it, and then people take it and run with it in the negative, which is how it is. Unfortunately. Text message reads, greetings, doctor and producer. The Caucasians truly believe that African Caribbeans are the ones suffering more with this virus. I've heard callers to a popular radio station saying so several times. The problem is with us as a people, and I didn't realize this until COVID is hit, and we have to really bear this in mind, right? We have to really truly bear this in mind. I'm going to use the US and I'm going to use the UK. In the US, the high proportion of Black Americans that are dying is said to be because of their diet. I did not realize that African Americans were the largest consumers of fast food. Of the amount of fast food that's consumed, some 60 to 80% is consumed by Black folks. In the UK, when I heard that statistics, I looked towards, as they would say, the home country, right? Because this is where we are at the moment, right? I looked towards the home country and I looked at us as a people. Now, we in this country eat a significantly high amount of fast foods. And when I reflected on that information, I remember once I went to the supermarket with a young lady, and I was so shocked when she took a ready-made burger pack out of the freezer and dropped it in the basket. And I'm laughing, right? Because I was so surprised. I was like, what you doing? Yeah. So who buys a ready-made burger like that? But at the end of the day, a lot of people can't cook, and a lot of people that can cook refuse to cook. So they eat these things that are rich in. I'm not. I don't want to put anybody off them food, you know. So let me not go into it too deep. I don't want to make anybody feel a way about them freezer. Let me rephrase it. No, real talk. I don't want to offend anyone. What I'm saying is we have to watch what we eat. And the more natural we eat and the more we learn to cook and prepare what we eat, the better things will be. And it's crazy that in the 90s and the 80s and before, or pre 90s up to the 90s, black folks used to be the ones that cook at home. We never really ate out much. To see it now that we eat out more per head or per, how they say it, statistically speaking, than everyone else. We can't bother to cook. You know, we like things fast. We eat a lot of McDonald's and all that kind of stuff. You know, we feed our children on McDonald's. How many kids out there was raised on McDonald's? You know, I got McDonald's once every or twice or three times if I was lucky a year. Not because we couldn't afford McDonald's, but McDonald's was a treat, and because it was like, you know, it wasn't something that you eat regular. But how many kids eat McDonald's almost every day? How have we forgotten about that documentary at the beginning of the millennium, back in the early 2000s, where the guy that ate McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner nearly died from liver failure because of this and the significant liver cirrhosis that he got after 30 days of eating it? You know, so we put ourselves in a situation where our immune system is compromised. We shouldn't be getting sick with certain little things that we need to go check it out if it's this or that so that they can do what they're doing, because I don't trust these people. They when they look at the death, they look at the death that's taken place in the last 28 days from positive confirmation that you potentially have COVID. And notice how I use that last bit of phrase there. You potentially have COVID. And I know why I say that, right? And as a result, you end up in a bad situation, a sticky situation. Because if in 28 days anything happens to you, as far as they're concerned, it was COVID. So if you don't find yourself in the hands of someone that cares, anything can happen to you. And it's what? COVID. Always bear that in mind. And I think we don't look at those little things in depth enough. Bear that in mind. Also, on during the break, we had a caller that added quite a pertinent piece of information. The caller said on the 23rd of March, the country was locked down, and that was the caller highlighted there's something going on with the number five also. So the 23, that's five, and then on the 14th of September, they've reintroduced these policies. One and four is five. So it's not just the six. The caller feels strongly, or not strongly, the caller feels also presented, I should say, better words, that they are playing on this narrative, knowing full well that people are looking at these numbers and looking at these symbolic things that they're using to play on the minds of people. They're doing these things with intent, right? So that is what that caller feels. How do you feel? Where are we? So beer grills become we and we become them. Oh, they're becoming us and we're becoming them. Yes, They're cooking at home, you know what I'm saying? They're doing their little thing, you know what I'm saying? It's amazing. You know, it's amazing how much of ourselves we've given up. I saw a documentary this week. It was a short little clip, like a 2 minute clip. And I have to say that a documentary because it was so informative in the 2 minutes that I watched it. It was a short clip, and many of you might have seen it, where a white, back in the olden days with the black and white documentaries when they used to talk and they had the high pitched voice and they go, well, they would go, well, the Negro is there and he's that kind of speech, and they make it, and the image is flickering, and he goes, well, the witch doctor has gotten so far in the surgery, and they were showing this black, great professional man with his two or three assistants performing brain surgery on someone that was awake. They went into the person's brain, and the person could cognitively function awake without anesthesia or modern anesthesia. The presenter was so astounded by the feat that was being performed that even though he was using the negative term of calling the man a witch doctor, had to give credit to say that this man was performing the task of some of the top neurological and neurosurgeons in of the day with his hands and basic instrument. A surgery that took place, and he said to open the cranium and do whatever he's doing was like 4 hours, and to close up was another few hours. They stopped and they drank beer together, and the lady sat up with the her brain exposed and ate and didn't eat but had something to drink and everything during the whole process without anesthesia. That's one of the greatest feats I've ever seen with my eyes. That someone could go through that and not feel the pain, and they're alert and they're awake, and everything was done to precision. But yet, we fail to realize how great we were and how great we still are. We have to hold on to them little things. And not to say that I think the only problem that we had in the old system where Europeans have the upper hand, is that Europeans created a general consensus. What I mean by that is, like, if you meet a European doctor, whether they're black, Asian, or white, generally they had the same level of training to a certain degree. To find a so-called bush doctor, or witch doctor, whatever they want to call it, that true professional in our setting, you'd have to really know who to go to that could perform such a great feat, because it wasn't that we didn't have that consensus, and that's the only thing that was missing. And if we can recreate that and create that consensus, the world would be at our feet again. Because that was an extraordinary feat. I just have to say that. Sorry, I digress. I want the producer wanted to talk about Ashley Banjo. I completely forgot about that. Completely forgot about Ashley Banjo. Do you guys know what happened to Ashley Banjo this week? If you don't, listen to what the producer has to say.
Okay. Ashley Banjo was a judge on Britain's Got Talent, the semi-finals, of which she done a performance which basically encapsulated the Black Lives Matter movement. So he's basically did a dance performance which highlighted the issues of which Black people face.
Mhm,
To which a bunch of people, I think it's hitting about 20,000 people now,
mhm,
complained to Ofcom about Ashley Banjo's performance. Um, about Ashley Banjo's performance, and it's just highlighted the very issues of which he was performing in his dance routine,
mhm,
of which what he's facing.
mhm.
So
So
that's
he used the performance as a political piece
yeah,
for Black Lives Matter,
yeah,
and there's been a extreme backlash, extreme backlash from that.
yeah.
Do we know who the complainants are?
I don't think they said.
Because
we can draw conclusions, but I don't think
on in the UK. On TV in the UK. I think she was working for the BBC, but the BBC got a lot of complaints in regards to her. And I draw the comparison because everyone that complained about her were white people that did not want her on screen. So I'm just wondering if the Ashley Banjo presentation struck a nerve with black folks, or did it strike a nerve with everyone, or was it predominantly white viewers that made a complaint or so forth? It'll be interesting to know because it doesn't take much to cause offense in this country these days, and you have black folks that don't seem to stand firm with their own with a lot of important issues. You know, even though again the presenter might be upset with me when I say it like that because, you know, again, of how she views the complete scenario. She's currently on the phone, so I would love to kind of tell the caller to go live. I want you to finish what you're saying about Mr. Banjo.
He's coming up.
Yeah. So it'll be good because, you know, it's important to get this message out there because the presenter is a bit has a bit more awareness about the situation with Ashley than I do. But it'll be good to know who these complainants are, you know, the ethnic makeup, just to kind of get an understanding of whether it was the offense caused.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't feel that the UK should be subjected to the Black Lives Matter movement because the instances or the incidences that are pushing this movement aren't issues that have taken place in the UK. They feel it's more of an American issue that is being adopted here in the UK. Caller, what's your name? You're live. Where you calling from? Greetings.
Very quickly, I want to make a comment about Ashley Banjo's situation.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the routine?
I didn't see it. The presenter was the one that highlighted it to myself. I heard about it, but I didn't understand what was going on, so I didn't make a note of it, unfortunately.
Basically, what the producer said, that there was it could be no more than a couple of seconds routine within the actual dance. He said, where he kind of reenacts the George Floyd situation, where there's a police man who fell on his neck. Really, a second or 2 seconds worth of, for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for that, and that is what a lot of people were complaining about that, that particular little routine that he does. I said, complaining about that, he shouldn't be, speaking out on certain issues. In fact, as a result of the complaint, he started getting information from people like a poster, where there was him, there was Anthony Joshua,
Mm-hmm.
and
Lewis Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody taking the 3 pictures, putting together to one poster, and then underneath it that, we prefer for our black stars or personalities to entertain us only and not speak out on any political issues. And I started telling that to him. Obviously, I think it is a very, very patronizing and rude to send that to him. So he's written that, look, he's responded to them saying that it's not going to stop or change anything. Change is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
They will continue to speak out as long as they're able to speak out about it. I just think it's very little weak-minded. I call them fools, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Who would take offense. I think the routine was no more than a second and a half. It's 2 seconds worth of something. I don't see what the point they're complaining about. It's not as if it's made up. It's telling a lie or it's a fabrication. That's an actual event that did happen. And he's put that into his routine.
Yeah. That's I see, and it's sad if that's what they've done. They're actually taking, but you know what? I want the producer to expand a bit more on it because she knows a bit more than me. So I'm going to let you two.
I don't know because I feel like I'm going to say something facetious.
No, go on. You have to say what you have to say. Sometimes. You know about it more than me.
It's too touchy. It's too touchy to speak
What's touchy about it? So say it.
I just how does Ashley Banjo identify? Does he identify as being black?
Ashley Banjo, as far as I know, is meant to be half Nigerian, isn't he? But I have heard and seen him identify as identified. You know?
As both. Okay.
Yeah, you know, but obviously it is of mixed, him and his brothers are mixed race heritage. But the fact of the matter is that even if they don't personally identify as black, the fact is that those 20,000 people or so who are complaining have identified him as black. There's that.
And there goes my point, which I've always made, to say that genetics isn't, you know, I mean, genetics speaks as opposed to parentage. It's the genetics that is the factor, the underlying factor, and it's if your genetics and your morphogenetic gene pool suggests that you look more African and you have more predominant African genetics, then you will be treated as such, even though you may be viewed as a lighter African. And some people will say opportunities may be a bit more easy coming than darker skinned Africans, which we know that takes place. That's what colorism is about. But nonetheless, does it detract from someone that is pushing to get recognition for a full black cause? Nonetheless, because he's using a platform for that. I mean, if he didn't, people may have accused him for even ignoring
True.
the black cause. But yet, when people stand up for it's difficult for me to say in its purity their own, because some people say, well, they got white in them as well, or white families and so forth. But
in this instance, I know what you're saying, but you see, in this instance, regardless of whether or not they identify themselves as a black person, the fact that those people, those 20,000 or so people who have been complaining, identify them as such. Those same people, some of them are now going to start putting where they're putting him, they're putting Anthony Joshua, they're putting Louis Hamilton, they're putting that. But the things that we don't want our black stars to talk about social issues.
As if there's ownership to these people, like they're owned, right?
Exactly. The mentality that would even create such a thing, and not only that, you're not even thinking about the people's feelings or the man, you're actually sending that to him.
It's like the producer said. It's like the producer said earlier when I said Stormzy is not the representation for us in the political climate, and she said, well, there should be many voices. That includes academics as well as the likes of the entertainers, and that's a better way of putting it. I do agree with her when she said that. You know, I can retract my statement to say yes, but they push it as if, you know, these guys are pawns and tools, and they should jump to the beat of the whistle, because the only reason they have success is because they're supported by white Britain.
As well. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He helps out the community. And so does Raheem Sterling. Okay? He does a lot of things that he's also done to help the community. He doesn't talk much, but he does a lot. Mostly talks and does a lot. Okay? LJ, Anthony Joshua, he talks a lot and he also does. Okay? Ashley Banjo, I think it's the first time we've seen him, you know, on a national sort of platform. But privately, he has in the past done stuff for the community as well. Okay? So the more of this, that's the future generation right there. Those are the young guys who are going to take over one day. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, let them continue to do what they do. The people who are jealous of them, small-minded people, bigots. That's actually the best word to describe them. Bigotry. They're the ones. I mean, if you see the clip yourself, you just said, I mean, how can somebody even complain about that? He's not lying. It is a fact movement, and he's just incorporating that into his dance routine for about 2 seconds. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. You know, we have to be tentative with how we view these things, and I support anyone that supports a black cause, but we have to be mindful of the position in that, because sometimes things aren't presented in the way it should be, but we can all be accused of doing that. But so it's a delicate walk, and we have to make sure that it's done correctly.
Okay, I agree with that point.
You know, and I've always said, you know, Lewis Hamilton is it. I'm a Formula One man. I don't watch football. I don't watch athletics. You know, what I mean, I've always been into Formula One since the 80s, and the only driver. First, I just used to watch and love certain cars by the color because I never had a driver to really go by. And then Ayrton Senna, who became like the only black driver on the grid because of his Brazilian Eric roots, he was treated as if he was a black man in a lot of quarters back then, and so he became, you know, my banner hero. And then I stopped watching Formula One when he died. That was the last race I watched of the 90s. All I just heard reports, and then I heard that this young guy's come through the rank and he's making waves, and his first race was da da da. And I watched it, and I've watched Formula One ever since then again. So from my hiatus of Ayrton Senna dying until Lewis Hamilton's first race, that's how long. If people know the max, that's how long I didn't watch it for.
He's talented, and I think that he's brought a lot of black people, you know, interested into the sport. It looked like it was, you know, made a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have been interested in golf. You made them start to get into golf. So, well, as an ambassador, and then look at his age when he achieved the championship at his age as well. So as an ambassador for Formula One, Lewis Hamilton has been one of their best ambassadors. Okay?
Yeah.
Which means that when he opens his mouth and talks, people listen. Now, if you've got that kind of power, you know, if there's something wrong in society, what is wrong with somebody in that position opening their mouth and speaking against those wrong things?
Yeah.
And why would anybody want to take offense that, you know, a young man like that is speaking up against injustices in society? Why would somebody want to take offense to that?
Yeah. You know, if as a youngster growing up, you know, that's why I said we are given morals, right? They taught us in the movies and in the cartoons and all these stuff, right? We're given morals, right? And from TV. And it's like when a black person express these morals when they're in these positions and they express them, they said, they're trying to delegate and dictate to us, and everyone gets upset. And it's such a weird thing seeing the social media responses to Lewis Hamilton in terms of like even the presenters on Sky Sports, they're cheering for the man to lose. And I've never, in all my years of watching British sports on TV, every British presenter and sportscaster would always want the British person to win, whether it's cricket or whatever the case may be, except Formula One, where they relish Lewis Hamilton not being in contention. I've never seen it. I don't know why they hate the man so much. You know, bigotry. You know, so.
Well, jealous of the fact that as a young person, and you see, he might be of a mixed race tempting, but as far as they're concerned, what they have seen in front of them is a black man. That's what it is.
And it goes to show, you know, it don't matter which country their own belong to. They support, a lot of them, the core, they support their own. But then you have some people that are just real, that support talent. And those are the groups that I always lean towards, people that are fair and balanced in life, you know, and that's what I deal with, because I deal with fairness and I deal with balance. And anyone that doesn't, then it will always show itself. And I always do my best, and I will always encourage people to be balanced. You know, don't let someone bamboozle you because of any foolishness. Be balanced in yourself. Know what's best for you. Yeah, because these we have to reprogram ourselves, because we were programmed to fall into certain traps by certain few words. You know, I notice every time I got a bad temper, and every time I get into an argument, the first thing someone would try to tell me is Jesus. Whenever they not, you know what I mean, whenever they feel like, oh, their back's up now because you know, they start saying, well, you know, Jesus, well, why are you telling me about Jesus? As if you're trying to play on my emotions, you know. You had a big argument before. Now you realize your argument's wrong. The first thing you try to do is try to play on my emotions and start bringing religion, because they do this to black people. They control black people by just bringing in religion into a conversation that had nothing to do with religion in the first place.
You know, it's really interesting to note what phrase was used before Jesus came on screen. What was used.
No, I'm the same. Nowadays, it's a trigger word for control.
Yeah, because you see it when you watch a lot of programs like these programs which are geared towards a teenage audience. That is something that is used, a phrase that is used a lot when a person is sort of, surprised or alarmed at a situation. You know, see that a girl, Jesus Christ, or Jesus, or Jesus. Where did that come from?
I mean, that's a discussion for another day. One day, when but the point I mean is, like, we have to be careful, because that's just one, and one of many. They use certain trigger words in conversations to try to control the narrative of a black mind. And I'm just saying to people, a lot of us, we don't know that these trigger words are there, and when it's said, it's to pacify the rage or the energy that they can't control. So they move to pacify. You know what I'm saying? A cue word, for example, have you ever had a conversation with someone on the phone, from whether it's from an insurance company or from the bank or somewhere, and right, and you two are at an impasse because there's a disagreement, and you're saying they try to control you by saying your name over and over. For example, if you
Listen, I'm gonna recommend you with it. If I don't know you, I don't answer. That's right. If I do accidentally answer.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, you're having a conversation or a debate with someone, and they know you. You're having a relevant conversation. But you're at an impasse with the discussion. So to try to control it, they will say your name. So, for example, it's Ade. So they will, instead of to control, they go Ade, 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 or they will say Mr. Whatever your last name is. They will keep saying it over and over, because they know that when you say someone's name, it brings focus and attention, and it's like a command. So it's a measure of control. So there's a lot of little cues. Like, I can sit here all day and tell people about them, but that's not what the show is about. I'm just saying people need to be aware of when someone's trying to play on their emotions with these things.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if you show that actually that you never a lot of followers, a large following on social media. And I think people take advantage of that, especially people who are from, those kinds of sentiments. When they think because they're a celebrity, they can also just write or say anything to them. They're human beings like everybody else. They've got feelings like everybody else. You see? And unfortunately, for those celebrities, they're also going to respond, And the first thing I just, everybody that we send that kind of a message, it's good that it's actually up to them and it's let people see what it is that they're sending them. But you know what? Once you respond to them, welcome them, delete them. You're not supposed to have them around.
All right, let me read out some of these text messages for the last 10 minutes, see if anybody else wants to chime in, yeah?
Okay.
All right, thank you for keep listening. I know you're a regular listener. Don't stop. All right.
I've given the producer on the speech earlier, so I've given her a chance to sort of help research. So I just want to remind her of that. Okay.
Okay, she said yes.
Thank you.
All right, no worries. Yeah, big up Ade every time. Text message reads, I wonder if listeners know that taking the knee is a Masonic stance. Okay, 749. You have to wonder if let me say that again. Do listeners know that taking the knee is a Masonic stance? But usually you're blindfolded, aren't you? Let me just add that into the mix. Yeah, make trouble in it. Art can express more than words sometimes. 746 says that. So 749 said, I wonder if listeners know that taking the knees and Masonic stance. And 746 says art can express more than words sometimes. Very
Yeah,
much so.
very true.
A picture says 1,000 words. And this is why I want to are you guys aware that that they're showing that now society is moving in terms of its communication speed in a similar capacity almost or in the same direction where they feel the ancient Egyptians did with the hieroglyphics communication. So you know within the hieroglyphics communication, like a picture would denote like a whole phrase and stuff. It's the same way now with English when you have things like lol and
Or emojis.
and all those things. They symbolize a lot of words, and they say now language is moving very fast. So if you should rewind and you're here in 100 years time, you will see you probably wouldn't be able to relate to a lot of the things that if it continues in how people communicate because they'll be communicating like 100 times faster than they now are, similar to how fast the Egyptians communicate. Because remember, speed of communication determines the amount of information you're able to acquire. And if in one simple sentence and phrase you're able to communicate the whole context of a book, which is similar to the depth of the hieroglyphics. That's the scientists are now saying that's the direction things are heading in. And that was published in the British press, the British media last year or the year before, not long ago, on that, Yeah. So I just wonder if people are aware of those little things. But yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, let me recap quickly. If you want to take a last minute pot shot at the show, 0753-996-8143. If you got anything to say or add before we wrap up, we've got like 9 minutes to go or 8.5 minutes. It'll be good to get like a last minute text messages or calls in 0753-996-8143. One last time for the money, 0753-996-8143. What we've been talking about today, we've been talking about quite a few things. We spoke about the number. Why did Boris Johnson choose the number 6? Is he playing on a narrative, or is it just that the devil is in the detail? You can't hide what you are. Is he playing on a narrative, or is it just by coincidence and by chance it was the number 6, or was it a statistical figure? That's something that we would love to know. Why the number 6, and then Wales follow. And anywhere the English goes, the Welsh always follow. We know where the Welsh have their heads. And someone might say, how can you say that about the Welsh? Because most of the racist police that I've experienced in my time have come from Wales. So I particularly don't like the Valley people too much. I can say that because I've had many a negative run-in with the Welsh. You know what I'm saying? So I go say it like that. Then we got appropriation, where everyone is using terms and philosophies and principles that we've coined to gain legal precedence, whereas the power and the traction is taken from us when we try to use those things. We're then blasted to in the corner to say we shouldn't say or use those things. Mumsy, how you doing? Good to hear from you this week.
Hi, how are you, my dear?
I'm doing my best, thanks.
Greetings.
Greetings.
I just want to clarify a couple of things quickly.
Mhm.
I'm not going to argument, just clarification. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One, the number 666. Okay, we everybody talk about Revelation and so on, but can you? I don't know if you've seen. I know that it is part of the what you call them, the Illuminatis and all them, the Rothschilds and so on. Yes.
Yeah, that's the one of the main conspiracy
But
things.
what I'm trying to say is that what you don't actually realize
Mm-hmm.
is that the whole every government, and this is my study from many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
all governments around the world, whether they're Muslim, Arabs, or whatever, yes,
Yep.
they're all party to this 300 people who actually controls the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So basically what I'm saying is that you cannot expect, because the monarchy of England is the leader of it all.
Mm-hmm.
The Bank of England has all the money from all these people. They may live in America or anywhere around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But when they meet up on their ship, you see all the rituals and everything going through where nobody can see or listen. Yeah? So no matter if you're black, white, or whatever, the government, this little badge they wear on them called like Freemason or whatever, it's this what they belong to. But let me even my Jamaican government, when I sent him the badge with the angel, the white angel, with the foot on the black man's neck after George Floyd thing, he take off the badge and throw it, and yet he is the governor of Jamaica under the Queen. He take it off, yes? So what I'm actually saying, we cannot turn it up back.
Were you the one that sent that in, Mumsy? Because I saw that on social media and in the press that Jamaica had queried it. You were the one that brought it to their attention.
Right.
Well done. Congratulations. Well done, Mumsy.
From the 80s, right? And changing policy around the world, right? Now the thing is, I have to say the other point I want to make. So that is the answer to the 6. You cannot change that, because one of the reasons you forget that our prime minister came into being was because of immigration. Because the whole Europe actually came down on with these people coming in from Africa and Libya and whatever. Well, it's all Africa. You understand?
Yeah.
And basically, they tried to stop it that way after they ruined all these countries in the world. Now, the point is what I'm trying to say, you have these national front or fascists, what you want to call them, and gangs, and you have them that will object to anything. So no matter whether you're mixed race or black, they're going to come at you as black anyway, right? And what I like, what Uncle always said, I've been listening to the program, you know, we run a radio program now, right? I used to work on there. So me listen to Uncle, and what he said, if we have a right to be angry, but we should be angry at ourselves. Because that book they call the Bible was conditioned for us black people, certain parts of it, right? And it was imposed even in America to show where the slave. Now you look at this. If you really look at what is going on with the World Health Organization, which there's a petition going around to sign to stop taking our tax money in this country and Europe to pay the World Health Organization to abort the black woman baby in the belly, and also child sex pornography, and it's called World Health Organization. They're funded by the same people with the vaccine and all these things, right? We have to take this. Now, how many people have actually signed a paper to say they don't want the vaccine? How many people is fighting this government? Whatever happens in America, because they seem to be the lead that everybody wants to copy from. Yes? But these lazy ass things we got over here called black. You got the 2 black brothers them in Tutti with their business after how many years they've been here? So there is a setup. There is a conspiracy going on between the police and councils and all these other people. And where our black leaders, what they call them in parliament, I have had counseling with them over the years. Arguments, everything, right? But I'll tell you something. Whatever that boy did to bring out this issue, let us take it under our wings. Just like the white people rejected Marion when she became newscaster because she was mixed race from Wales. Trevor McDonald, all of them went through it, yes? And I was no different because even my own niece, they gave the lowest job to here. She had to leave, right? In the BBC or whatever. So they control the media. They control our voice newspaper and there's written under the British, what you call it, the British organizations.
Mumsy, you know what? You know what, Mumsy? You called in too late this week. I have a minute left. You called in too late.
This is what I'm saying is that we have to. And the other thing I will mention very quickly, so I mentioned something about 100 years, let me tell you. By the year 2055, right, the whole earth will burn up with this black star. Why do you think they're covering up what is called the nitro? They're covering up global warming. That is the big issue. The Caribbean is suffering very badly with bad weather, as much as Africa. After they've done it, poison with their fertilizers and things that kill off all the foods and everything, you got this GMO and everything. Now they deplete everything from under our feet. Now second slavery coming in. So the vaccine and the chicken is what that all about. So when the Chinese fighting back,
We have to go. We have to go, Mumsy. We out of time. 20 seconds, yeah? So you know what? Next week, please. Yeah?
Okay.
All right, Mumsy, thank you.
Thank you.
And until next week, guys, you know, we're out of here. It's a doctor's surgery. Look after yourself. Keep having dialogue. Keep uplifting each other. You know, and sorry for all the messages I couldn't read.
Media Radio 104.1 FM.